We turn now to an overview of strategies for houses of worship and municipalities to work together. And our presenter is Richard Reinhard, an associate of Lakelands Institute and principal of Niagara Consulting Group in Rockville, Maryland. After 3 decades leading community economic development corporations in the United States and the United Kingdom and serving as chief of staff to a U.S. mayor, he worked in leadership of agencies of the United Methodist Church. He was a Loeb Fellow at the Harvard University Graduate School of Design. Right?
Thanks, Tom. I was on a call like this last week with United Methodists from New Jersey and was told that a major answer to all of our issues is pickleball. I just thought I would throw that out there. As a former adjunct faculty member at the Goizueta School at Emory and a former member of Glen Memorial United Methodist Church on the Emory campus, it's great to be back at Emory, so to speak. We're going through a great mismatch, and the mismatch is between small congregations and large properties. It certainly is a problem for faith institutions, but it's also a problem for municipalities. I would argue there's 4 reasons why houses of worship are on the decline. One is the much cited Gallup poll from 2 years ago that shows for the first time fewer than 50% of Americans consider themselves to be members of a church. There's also great increases in real estate costs. If it costs $7 a square foot to run a church, and a church is 10,000 square feet, that's $70,000 just going to maintaining a building. Third, there's greatly improved mobility and connectability. When a lot of churches were built in the late 19th, early 20th century, the only way to get there was by foot or on horse. Now we've not only got cars, we've got the internet, so we can connect anywhere in the world for services. And then finally, of course, the COVID pandemic. I think there's 3 reasons why houses of worship are so important to municipalities. The first and most obvious is that it's where people meet for worship. The second, which Bob and Shelley explained, is they're centers for human services. But also third, they're where many communities get their identity. Take a look at postcards of cities and towns in America. What do you see front and center but the church steeples? We haven't quite got our arms around this yet, but this is a much, much different issue in hot real estate communities and cold real estate communities. In hot real estate communities like Atlanta, developers just can't wait to get their hands on churches and turn them into luxury condos or Class A offices or retail space. First United Methodist Church in Seattle sold for $30 million. First United Methodist Church in Miami sold for $50 million. But in cold real estate communities, and by cold, what I mean is the market, it's very different. At a presentation I made a couple weeks ago at the American Planning Association, the planning director for Gary, Indiana came up to me and said they have more than 250 empty churches in that small city. I found that hard to believe, so I got her to commit to that in writing. In response, municipalities are slow, as slow as the faith institutions are. They're just kind of beginning to get their acts together. And they can offer 3 types of things. One is zoning incentives. The second one is technical assistance. The third is money. So San Diego and Seattle are offering zoning incentives. Churches can build more affordable housing on their sites than they might otherwise be able to. Atlanta and San Antonio offering technical assistance and grants. The city of New York, being New York, has a whole center to deal with this. And you'll hear that Jacksonville has a special district to deal with it. What can municipalities do? What can municipalities do? There's a lot. Collect data, build relationships, update their zoning and building cost information, identify funding sources, and put together these sorts of programs. But they got to get going. Thanks, Tom.